Autumn time here in Melbourne, and that means one thing. It's a beautiful autumn morning and we're going to do some garden cleanup. I've been painting our new shed this last week. It's looking pretty good. I think it just needs one more coat, particularly on the ceiling, but it's looking pretty good. Got some seedlings to plant out. Normally I'd start these by seed, but all my seeds are in storage at the moment while we're building the shed. More painting. As you can see, the ceiling needs another coat, but otherwise looking good. And the garden's pretty messy. It's end of summer. Everything, or a lot of things are spent. These three beds that had this one, and this one that had my tomatoes in them, they are all finished now, all gone. And I pulled them out last night, the last of them, and I pulled out the stakes. And what I'm going to do is just turn over this soil. I've already given it a little bit of a turn. There's lots of opinions out there about no dig gardening, but I found the soil that I'd imported was quite compacted and dry, and I'd put all this organic stuff on top, like grass clippings, straw, etc. And it was just kind of sitting on this top layer, and the layer underneath was quite hydrophobic, hard and compacted, which was the soil that I brought in to fill up these raised beds. And so I've just given these three beds a bit of a turn. I might go over them again today. They had lots of worms in the top layer, but again, the layer underneath that was pretty poor. Got a beautiful salvia here. Look at that colour, so blue. And some capsicums. We've had quite a few capsicums, which have been great. This pumpkin's kind of taking off. It was a slow starter. I planted it at the same time as these golden nugget pumpkins over here, but this one was kind of slow to start. I didn't know that it would survive actually, but it seems to have taken off and is kind of spreading out of the garden bed now. So I'll let it go and see what happens with it. My passion fruits are almost finished, and so I'll give the passion fruit a bit of a prune. And there's just all this junk here which I don't really have a place for. And these beds here, cucumbers, you can see a little cucumber over there, Lebanese cucumber. We're getting quite a few of these cucamelons, which are really nice. They've got quite like a little sour crunchiness to them. Fruit trees along the back fence. That one's a bit droopy. That's a Cara orange. Let me know what your thoughts are. I have been watering it. It's been hot here. I don't think it's lack of water that's causing it to droop. But as you can see, I've just got all this crap kind of scattered around the yard. And so today is going to be a bit of a cleanup day. Over here, I've got an avocado tree which I've planted into a little raised bed, and I've built a little sun and wind shade to protect it from northerly sun. More weeds. This trench here is to connect up the sheds to the stormwater. But yeah, as you can see, it's a bit of a mess, and we're going to do a tidy up. I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. Hello, so I'm just sitting here after a morning in the garden where I tidied up quite a bit of old plant material that was hanging around from summer. Some old tomato plants, zucchini plants, other plants, beans, and lots of other things, and mowing the lawn and a few other different jobs. Let's show you what I've done. Little break for lunch, and I'm just going to go through what I've done so far. I've taken out some of the spent sunflowers from this fruit tree bed. We've mown the lawn. Now I don't purport to be excellent at lawn maintenance or anything. This is a relatively new turf lawn, so it's in pretty good condition. But what I do is I just take the grass catcher off the back of the lawnmower and leave the grass clippings on the lawn. If they kind of bunch up, I'll just kick them around a little bit to stop it from blocking the sun getting to the lawn, but they dry up pretty quickly. I figured that over time, as the lawn's growing, if I'm just removing all of that material, it's going to deplete the soil. So taking the grass catcher off the back and letting the clippings kind of mulch the lawn a little bit will hopefully return some of that nutrition back to the soil and stop me from having to amend it too much in the future. I've taken the beans off the trellis here, and I'm just doing a lot of chop and drop. It's not very I haven't been chopping it up into really small pieces or anything like that. I just put most of the leaves and things back into the garden bed, and I've just been forking it over a little bit. Still got some veggies going. I've done a bit of a tidy up of the yard. And these tall raised beds are really dry in here. I gave it a good water last night, so it's pretty looking okay this morning, but it's quite hard to dig down into once you get down below this top layer, and I find that the water just runs off. So I've been adding lots and lots of straw, grass clippings, etc. to this top layer, and it does help. It has helped quite a bit with the moisture retention, but once all these basil plants and cucumbers are finished, I'll probably add some sheep manure and other things in there as well. Anyway, looking a little bit more neat and tidy now. Oh, one other thing is I just went and picked up, I had ordered this kiwi berry. So this plant here, it's a kiwi berry. It's similar to a kiwi fruit, related to a kiwi fruit, but they're meant to be quite a bit smaller, about the size of a grape. And they're a self-fertile vine, so if you grow kiwi fruits, you know, you have to have a male and a female plant, whereas this you can just have one plant. They can cover quite a bit of area like a passion fruit, and I think I'm going to plant it right here in this bed, and it will grow up that post. I'll put some wire trellis on there, and I'll put some wires along the front of the veranda too. I'll probably put them a bit lower than the gutter so that it doesn't infiltrate the gutter too much. We'll probably have to keep an eye on pruning it because they can be quite vigorous apparently. But yeah, I'll probably just run 2 sets of wires. This is a 2.7 meter tall veranda, so we'll be able to walk underneath it just fine, even if I have the wires a bit lower. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do with that kiwi fruit. I'll plant it right in the corner of that bed there and let it grow up this pole and make a nice shade for the eastern wall of the shed. So looking a bit tidier than at the start of the day. You can see here a good example of chop and drop. Often these plants here that I've got, nasturtiums, sweet alyssum, borage, and lots of other things along here, comfrey, get a little bit wild and out of control. So I grew some sunflowers as well, so I just end up chucking them in here rather than trying to squeeze them into my fairly small compost bin. I put these bricks around the fruit tree base just to kind of keep things from sliding up against the trunk and causing collar rot. And then I also come back every few months and kind of pull any of the material away from the trunk as well. Like here, for instance, I just kind of dig away from the base so you can get to that root flare to stop any instance of collar rot. Had to take a brick from here the other day, so I'll replace that. In these garden beds, I've pulled out my beans, some old spring onions, a few other things. These were some lilies that were popping up from the back of the shed, and I've kind of just broken off the root area to stop them, hopefully stop them rooting in my garden bed, but I'm just putting them on top so they'll dry out. And chuck some old straw in here, some of these beans that were growing on the trellis, some of the spring onions, and chopped it up a little bit, not too much. I don't bother too much with that. Put in some sheep poo and gave it a good water. So hopefully they'll be good to plant into next weekend. Fruit trees are looking good. Done a little tidy up of the yard. I'll probably pick some of these pumpkins soon. They're golden nugget pumpkins. I've heard mixed reviews of them. But yeah, looking a little bit more neat and tidy than it was at the start of the day. So I just picked a few pumpkins and I'll let them sit inside and see how they store on the shelf. So what are we planting? Got some Tuscan kale, silver beet, cauliflower, and there should be some broccoli there as well as lots of spring onions. I like to have spring onions year round in the garden. So as I said earlier, I'll grow these from seed more often than not, but my seeds are in storage right now. Here are some seeds that I just recently bought, which are a few different types of everlasting daisy, and I'm growing these for one of my friend's weddings. So they may or may not use them in their wedding, but either way they dry really well. I've had some hanging up inside for the last 4 or 5 years that are still looking decent. So they dry beautifully, and they can be really interesting. I've got 4 different colours: coppery red, sort of silvery colour, a dark plum pink, and a brighter salmon pink. Anyway, that's what I'll be growing over autumn winter.